You've gone from 15 people to 50 since you wrote the playbook. A deal that used to close in a week now needs 4 approvals and double the time. New hires spend their first month asking who owns what. Everything moves slower than it did at half the size, and the team works hard to keep up. That's not a people problem, it's process debt. And it grows with you. In this episode, we're going to walk through the friction audit. It's going to help you find what's slowing your growth and redesign your processes to fit the company you've built. Hi, I'm Summer, founder of Driven Connection, and we eliminate inefficiencies that stunt growth. So what is process debt? Think of it like technical debt. That's what software engineers call the shortcuts that pile up in code and make every future change slower. Martin Fowler, the engineer who popularized the term, described the cost as interest. The work still ships, it costs more every time. Your company carries the same kind of debt with how it runs, and it takes 2 forms. Sometimes the process is missing. You outgrew the informal version and never built the new one. Sometimes the process is in the way. It exists, but it's bloated with steps and sign-offs that the team fights to get anything done. Either way, the work still gets done, but every single part of it costs more than it should. When growth stalls, leaders look outward at the market and the funnel and the economy. Bain & Company found that 85% of the barriers to profitable growth are internal and manageable, not external. The system is the constraint. Let me show you what I've learned doing this. I've spent more than 20 years redesigning workflows and process flows across restaurant chains, trading floors, high-stakes banking conversions, enterprise transformations, and small businesses scaling for the first time. Here's the thing no one tells you when you start. The theory travels. The actual design, it doesn't. A process that works beautifully in one company can create friction in another because it was never built for the team that lives the reality. Early on, the temptation is to walk in with the answer, the framework that worked last time, and install it. It looks and seems efficient, but it isn't. So when I walk into a business, I come armed with questions, not templates. I want to see how the work moves before I touch a single step. I've seen what the wrong fit costs. In a service business, the rework and the do-overs and the inconsistency can run to 30% of revenue. That figure comes from the Institute of Industrial Systems Engineers. I've watched it leak out one workaround at a time. The best fit process, the one I'm always after, is the one that gets results with happy people. So why does process debt go unfixed in almost every growing company? It usually comes down to one of 3 things. First, the process was built for a smaller company and it never redesigned it. The approval chain you set up for a $2 million company is still running at $20 million. Every decision climbs the same ladder it did when you could see the whole business from your desk. The cost lands on your own calendar and the payroll line. The most expensive people spend their days waiting for sign-offs instead of moving the business. Second, the process exists, but it's bloated. A step got added every time something went wrong, and none ever got removed. Gary Hamel, the management thinker behind the book Humanocracy, calculated the excess bureaucracy costs the U.S. economy more than $3 trillion a year. In your business, it shows up smaller, but every bit as real. Payroll hours spent on steps that guard against a problem you had once 5 years ago. Third, the real workflow lives in people's heads. The official process and the real one drifted apart, and the work runs on go ask Bob. When Bob is out or leaves, the work stalls and quality swings. The cost shows up in forfeited revenue because the customer experience depends on whoever happens to handle them that day. Your processes outgrew the company, and that's a design problem you can fix. Here's the highest leverage move, and it's a question, not a checklist. Donatella Meadows, the system scientist behind the essay Leverage Points, Places to Intervene in a System, taught that where you push a system matters more than how hard you push it. Adding more people, buying a tool, calling another meeting. Those are the lowest leverage moves there are. You're pushing harder on a structure that's already working against you. W. Edwards Deming, the quality pioneer whose methods rebuilt post-war manufacturing, said it the cleanest: a bad system will beat a good person every time. The high leverage move is to change the structure of the work itself. And to do that, you have to see the work as it really is. So pick the process that generates the most friction, and the one where things pile up, get redone, or wait. Walk it step by step, then ask one question of every single step. Is this here because the work needs it, or because it's left over from a smaller company? That question does the sorting. The steps that should exist but don't are the first to face the process debt. The steps that exist but earn nothing are the second. Most leaders have never once walked a process and asked a question. The hour you spend doing it is the highest return on your calendar this week. That's where the Friction Audit is built to produce. Here are two companies that fixed process debt by redesigning the work, not patching it. Both come from Michael Hammer, the engineer who launched the business reengineering movement in the 1990 Harvard Business Review article. The first is Ford. In the early 1980s, Ford's accounts payable department in North America employed more than 500 people. The plan to fix it was the usual one: install new computer systems, tighten the existing steps, cut maybe 20% of the headcount. Then Ford looked at Mazda, whose comparable department ran on 5 people. 5. Even adjusting for size, the gap was staggering. So Ford stopped trying to speed up the old process and redesigned it. Receiving matched goods to the purchase order in the database, the match dropped from 14 pages of data to 3. Vendors stopped sending invoices at all. The result wasn't a 20% trim, it was a 75% reduction in headcount, with more accurate financials on the other side. The second is Mutual Benefit Life, an insurer of the same era. A single application moved through as many as 35 steps across 5 departments, touching something of 19 people. Typical turnaround was between 5 and 25 days. Almost all of it was spent passing a file from one desk to the next. Their fix was structural. They killed the handoffs and created one role, a case manager, who owned the whole application end to end. Turnaround dropped to as little as 4 hours. The same people, freed from the relay race, handled more than twice the volume. Each started with the same decision: redesign the work of what actually needs to be done, instead of speeding up the version they'd outgrown. Here's how to do that in your business starting this week. The Friction Audit takes about an hour, and you run it with people who do the work. The hardest part isn't mapping the steps. It's naming the problem out loud. A process you built, one that used to work, has become the thing slowing you down. Once you can say that, the rest is mechanics. Step 1. Pick one process that generates the most friction. Ask your team, where does the work pile up, get redone, or wait? Pick the one that comes up most. One process, not all of them at once. The deal desk, client onboarding, the monthly close, whatever your team names first. Step 2. Map how the work moves, not how the document says it should. Walk it step by step with the people who run it, and come with questions, not a template. Use this exact line: show me how this really gets done. Mark every handoff, every approval, every wait. Step 3. Sort every step into 2 piles. Ask of each one, is this here because the work needs it, or because we've always done it this way? The steps the work needs but are missing are the first phase of your process debt. The steps that exist but earn nothing are the second. Step 4. Redesign for the company you are now. Then schedule the next audit. Cut the steps that are in the way, build the ones that are missing. Give the process one owner, then ask, what would this look like if we designed it for who we are today? Put the next Friction Audit on your calendar a quarter out, because the debt comes back as you grow. To recap, step 1, pick the highest friction process. Step 2, map how the work really moves. Step 3, sort every step into needed or in the way. Step 4, redesign for the company you are now and schedule the next audit. That's the Friction Audit. The best fit process is the one that results with happy people and the results you expect. Run the friction audit on your business this week, and you'll see exactly the work that's missing and where your team is drowning. That's the start of an operation that fits the size you've grown into instead of the one fighting to keep up. You're learning, you're growing, and you're building a system-led operation where your processes fit the company you've become, and growth gets easier instead of harder. Each episode names a different pattern. Subscribe so the next one finds you. I'm your host, Summer Ames Prodan. We'll fix another inefficiency on the next episode of Driven Growth.